How easy is it to change yourself in your life? Get working tips. How to transform. How to improve your health. Alone and with a trainer. To become the star of the beach. This instruction manual to get a practical result on the Channel Fresh Life 28.
Hello everyone, this is Basilio, and we are talking about how to start a new life on Monday and not give it up. You can find out who I am and what this blog is about right here. And now, we move on to the first video. And of course, we ask the most important question: where to start? When we see someone who motivates us. Or when we are simply pushed by a demotivator from the internet with slogans like, pick up your ass and start. It's very want to grab a saber and, like Chapayev on a white horse, rush into battle. However, getting involved in this fight without a clear goal is the surest way to waste time and money. And we start with the question, what do we want? As practice shows, there are two types of answers. The first type of answer is when a person says, I do it for myself. I want to keep my muscles in tone. I just want to maintain my shape. These are guaranteed dead-end goals, setting which about 90% of beginners give up, all because achieving these goals is impossible to control. There is no for myself meter or tonus scope to determine if the task is completed or not. It's like a game, where there is no fact of winning or scoring points. These kinds of goals are like telling a doctor, Doc, I have some sort of pain. Here's some sort of pill. It is extremely difficult to regularly spend time, money, and effort in a fitness club when you can't even measure the results of your work. The second type of answer is a bit more precise than the first, but also requires adjustment. In the second variant, people set more specific goals. I want to lose weight, get rid of the beer belly, lose the sides, build biceps. I want abs. I want to stop getting out of breath when climbing stairs. You have to agree, this kind of goal is much better. The process of losing weight and tightening your ass is already easier to control than mythical walks for yourself. But even here lies a snag very similar to the first type. The control will be quite subjective, although a human being is designed to need a clear standard for control. That's why, in both the first and second cases, the goal must be transformed into something measurable, namely to lose weight, see abs, build biceps. This is all weight in pounds, body fat percentage, circumference in inches, or distance run over time. All this can be broken down into intermediate goals and control the progress within set deadlines. This motivates and does not let you get lost in the feeling that you are in a fog, as if you are doing something. So, rule number 1. Before starting, you need to set a goal, the achievement of which can be measured. If your goal is global, break it down into smaller steps. Let's move on to the second question, choosing the means to achieve the goal. The choice here is not great. Most resources mention two components of our appearance. In reality, this formula requires correction, which I will certainly talk about later. But for now, we will assume that these are nutrition and the training process. And here the question arises, which is more important. What does our appearance, for which we are ready to start a new life on Monday, depend on? I'll tell you right away, and let it not scare you. 75 to 90% of success is nutrition. The average person, unfortunately, watching a pumped-up bodybuilder on the beach, thinks that the only difference between him and the bodybuilder is that the bodybuilder goes to the gym, and he does not. This is not true. The difference is in the lifestyle. And nutrition, as a fundamental part of the lifestyle, is not just important, but extremely important. And 70% of failures in starting a new life are due to underestimating the role of nutrition. That is why I will talk about nutrition not just a little, but a lot. And since you're watching my video blog, I can almost guarantee that your nutrition will need a serious revision. But I have and good news for you. What I will offer will save you a lot of time and money. That's one. It will lead to a sharp increase in vitality. That's two. I'm categorically against diets and starving yourself. That's three. And very soon, we will start studying how a self-respecting person should eat. But for now, since according to experience, changing the nutrition greatly frightens beginners, I will tell you about two popular tricks that people come up with for themselves and which almost never refute the average fitness club trainers. Myth number one, a person really doesn't want to change their settled life and says something like this. Well, I don't need to be overly pumped. I just want to remove a bit of my sides, belly, and pump up my biceps. So I will go to the gym and eat as I am used to. Let my result not be as good, but it will be, right? Honestly, no, it won't. This is a popular myth, an error of expectation. To start getting results, you need to change your nutrition, inevitably and unconditionally. To look like a professional athlete, which you don't want now, you need to stick to a new nutrition and training system for more than a year. And the longer you stick to such a regime, the more you progress. If you don't change your eating pattern, the result will be either little or none at all. It's like the joke. Let's treat AIDS with cat urine. But it doesn't help. At least we're doing something, and not just sitting idle. Myth number two. Very often I hear the following. Well, I sometimes can't resist treating myself to something extra every Friday and Wednesday, as if it were my birthday. But then I'll go to the pool or gym and spend those calories. This is a myth. This might work for an athlete with extensive training experience, large muscle mass, accelerated metabolism, and good genetics. Until you reach a certain level, you won't be able to burn that much. We will have to forget about regular feasts on birthdays and Friday binges. So, I frightened you with nutrition. Don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. It's just very important. And I already promised soon, patience, to describe what and how to do and completely forgot about training. So, is it not important then? When should you run to the gym? I want abs, biceps, sides, belly. So, my friends, no need to rush. Should you immediately run to the sales department of a fitness club? My answer is no. Don't rush. And here, this is my personal opinion, with which I am sure many authoritative people, especially professional trainers, will disagree. However, I ask you not to forget that my video blog is for busy people who are far from sports. And I know firsthand that restructuring one's lifestyle without interrupting work, study, or family is an additional strain. Just as I have never stood on stage before judges and have no idea what happens in the lives of people who have dedicated themselves to records, likewise, a trainer is unlikely to understand what goes on in the head of a 30, 40-year-old businessman or manager who hasn't lifted anything heavier than a glass of whiskey at a corporate party for the past 10, 20 years. The statement that results are better for those who train in addition to their ration is correct. It is as true as the statement that someone who benches 265 pounds has more muscle than someone who benches 88 pounds. What will happen if, in the pursuit of results, a person who comes to the gym for the first time tries to lift 265 pounds right away? Right. Most likely there will be an injury and goodbye gym for a long time. The same applies to the psyche. No need to rush to the gym, start consuming supplements, and change your nutrition. You won't be able to stand it for long. This is just my recommendation. Whether to follow it or not is up to you. However, when to start training in the gym depends on the tasks you have set for yourself. I'll be brief. The task is to lose weight. The task is to lose weight and build muscle. And the task is simply to build muscle. In all cases, nutrition is the most important aspect. No workout can replace the mistakes on your plate. There are no magical methods or super innovative supplements that will allow you to go to the gym while continuing to maintain the imposed artificial eating habits that ultimately led you to the point where it's time to start a new life. The first case is the simplest, the second is more complicated. And in the first, second, and third, the first thing you'll have to learn to do is eat right. Moreover, in the first case, it is quite possible to do without a gym at all, but in the second and third cases, you can't do without a gym. In cases 1 and 2, you will simply lose weight until you reach the required percentage of body fat, and upon achieving this, you go to the gym. And in the third case, when you have little muscle and little fat by body type, you can start training as soon as you get the hang of your nutrition. From experience, this will take you a couple of weeks. By the way, why is this not emphasized enough by fitness clubs? Let's get to know our enemy better. Welcome to the consumer society. In reality, it's not such an enemy after all. There are positive aspects too. If it weren't for commercialization, we wouldn't have so many gyms, and we'd still be training out in a basement. But the goal of any commercial structure is one: making a profit. So, you have different objectives with it. Your goal is to achieve results, while the commercial structure's goal is to ensure you have no results without payment, and that you pay as long as possible, ideally for the rest of your life. It's not bad. It's a fact of life that we need to live with and learn to nibble on the bait without swallowing the hook. Teaching you this is my second task. Can you imagine walking into the sales department and being told, "No, don't buy our personal training packages, don't waste your money, don't spend money on a subscription, normalize your nutrition according to your goals, and then come to work out"? Of course, that's fantasy. Victims of the system include not only clients who passionately want results, but also trainers. I'm not talking about fake trainers who are only professionals at selling their sessions, and God forbid, some shady supplements. Suppose a client is aiming for an unattainable result. The trainer knows this and wants to explain that you won't build muscle in 2 weeks and not even in 2 months. But the trainer knows, the client won't believe it. And then the commercial trainer will come running and say, "Yes, I'll create a program for your abs and biceps. I'll show you the best exercises, and you'll take these supplements. And yes, pay for a package of 20 personal training sessions." In the end, the result for both the first and second will be 0, and the client will leave. But guess who will be praised by the boss faster? So let's summarize. Rule number 1. Before starting, it's important to define a goal that can be precisely measured. If your goal is global, break it down into smaller stages. Rule number 2. 75 to 90% of success is nutrition. Without it, there will be no results at all. Rule number 3. No amount of training, calorie expenditure, or fasting can make up for errors in your nutrition. Rule number 4. First, learn to eat properly. Gain experience with this, and reduce your weight to a stable level before heading to the gym. Don't rush. You won't achieve results faster. Rule number 5. Remember, a miser pays twice, a fool 3 times, and a person who doesn't want to think will pay ever. Always think when they try to sell you something and promise. Well, now I believe you're ready to gradually move on to the dessert, specifically to the reason we're watching this video blog, to talk about what exactly needs to be done. So, let's outline the first lesson's task. Determine what your goal is and how it can be measured. To start with, let's roughly estimate your body fat percentage. I will discuss various measurement methods in detail later, but for today, an approximate assessment using this method will help. First, open Google Images. There are many pictures available for free. Carefully examine yourself and compare your body fat percentage with the images. Determine what percentage of body fat you want to have. And now let's summarize. If you want a body fat percentage of up to 30% for women and up to 20% for men, then such a task is completely solved only normalization of nutrition. But if your goal is to see muscle definition or lower your body fat percentage, you can't do without the gym. In any case, remember, adjusting your nutrition is an inevitable task, and it cannot be avoided. Although it won't be very difficult, it will require effort, and it's not worth exhausting yourself with both nutrition and training at the same time. You still have work, study, and family. Nutrition is more important, and to get results, we'll start with that. The task for the first stage is to define a goal that we can measure. That's all for today. Subscribe to the channel, press like or press dislike, and tell your friends. It's always more fun to go together. Write comments and questions under this video or on the website. This was Basilio, and bye-bye. And now a small preview for next week. In the next video, I'll talk about nutrition. How to eat, what to eat, and how much to eat. For those who need to lose weight, we'll start right away. Why can't you lose weight with duct tape over your mouth? Time saving, through proper nutrition? Let's debate with a calculator in hand. Why is it impossible to simultaneously build muscle and lose fat? And now, bye-bye.